Hey, I'm Kyle from TechSquidTV. When I moved into my new apartment, I really wanted to get the perfect desk setup, and I didn't know exactly what that was going to be, but I like the idea of a standing desk. Your mileage may vary, but if you spend as much time at your desk as I do, it's really nice to be able to stand up and move around. I work from home at my day job, and I make YouTube videos, and of course I game. So I have spent hours on my butt in a chair at my desk. And honestly, even with a proper chair like this one, I found myself routinely standing on my knees just to get my back into a more comfortable position for a while, or because of the pain in my ass that comes with sitting for hours. So I will get out of the chair either way and either lean over or take a knee. But there's a lot of options for standing desks out there, ranging from incredibly affordable to this. And so in a second, you are going to see why I spent over $1,000 on this desk. And it's not even sponsored by the people that made this desk, but it is sponsored by the amazing people at hover.com. If you work from home or run your own business, you're gonna need your own domain name for your website or email, and you can get 10% off yours at hover.com/TechSquid. This is a 4-leg adjustable height standing desk by Uplift Desks, and it starts at about $1,000, and from there you can customize it quite a bit on their website. But we will come back to this. Let's talk about standing desks in general for a moment. So first off, I am not going to tell you about any of the health benefits or tell you that a standing desk will make you more productive. Most of these studies in particular are subjective to say the least. What I will tell you is that I do genuinely spend a significant portion of my time standing and appreciate the ability to switch between sitting and standing with ease. I think if you spend enough time at your desk, you have already formed an opinion on whether or not you would like to stand, so that's up to you. There are several well-known brands out there: Autonomous, Uplift, Veridesk, IKEA, GeekDesk, iMover, Updesk, EvoDesk, and I could literally go on forever. There's even a cardboard version for you Nintendo Labo fans. For real? So let's talk about how much a standing desk might cost you, and it's gonna depend on what you need. For those of you on laptops, you are in luck, but I'm going to go very fast because very few of you actually care about this. Go nuts, there are tons of options. The one thing you're going to want to look out for is stability, and I'm going to come back to that. At the cheaper end of the spectrum, there are desk conversion kits that are great for laptops or even desktops in some situations, a popular solution being the Veridesk desk risers, such as the Pro Plus 36. I have no personal experience with it, so I'm not going to comment too much on it, but it has been personally recommended to me by people who do own it. It's a decent option for those who already have a nice desk or simply don't want a dedicated sit-stand desk. It's also often a cheaper solution. You place a platform for your laptop on a spring mechanism that helps it lower and rise. These run somewhere between $300 to $500, and of course you can find some questionable knockoffs much cheaper. To me, these are fairly expensive when considering a whole desk won't cost you much more. But like we mentioned, you may already have a nice desk, or you may work in an office and be that person. Moving on. Most of you are likely looking for a legitimate standing desk, and as I mentioned, there are a lot of options with a wide range of prices. Before we talk about options or price, let's talk about what we need from this desk. A large enough size. Most of the desk options out there are generally wide enough for just one or maybe two monitors and your mouse and keyboard. If you are accustomed to a larger desk like I am, you might be sacrificing some desk real estate or forking over a few more dollars. I have 2 monitors, my tower, audio equipment, and I wanted a little extra space, which is a great segue into weight capacity. Not something you might immediately worry about, but important if you plan on setting up your beastly battlestation on top of these desks. My original plan was to buy only the frame, meaning the legs and the motors, off Amazon, and outfitting my own large tabletop, getting the desired perfect table. Well, by the time you factor in 2 monitors and a desktop, and the wood itself for the tabletop, especially if you want a larger or wider table, the weight can start to become an issue. I calculated that I would need to be able to support around 160 pounds, and I knew that I probably wanted to make sure that whatever I ended up getting could hold at least double that. Honestly, I went a little overkill in that department, but we'll come back to that. The number of motors. Not all desks have motors, some have hand cranks, but most have motors, but you can save a lot of money if you really want and hand crank your desk. IKEA has a $240 hand crank desk. A common configuration is a 2-leg table design with a single motor on one leg that turns a crankshaft connected to the second leg. While obviously this will work, it's going to be slower and put a lot more torque on the motor, and that's not great for your motor's lifespan. And if the crankshaft isn't built well, then that's not going to love all that torque either. I think the 2-leg design is likely a cost-saving effort to minimize the number of motors needed, but it presents another issue: stability. Who thought it was a good idea to have a table on 2 legs move up and down? This is likely the most important aspect of a desk because it's what you're going to notice the most. I don't have a lineup of desks to show you, so you're gonna have to listen to what I have noticed, do some research on your own, and see if you agree. There's a great review of IKEA's Skarsta desk by another YouTuber, David Zhang, and he demonstrates the issue with these two-leg design tables. What you essentially have is a lever and the legs acting as the fulcrum. So when you have a heavy load like computer monitors on one side, the desk will always lean in that direction, which will result in some wobble. I think the wobble is going to be inescapable with any two-leg design. You can minimize the wobble by reducing the weight on the desk, meaning those of you with a single monitor or maybe just a laptop should be less affected. You might try to even out the weight distribution, but either way it's a challenge. And just a comment about that IKEA desk real quick, we said that our setup was going to need 160 pounds. The max weight capacity of that IKEA Skarsta desk is only 110 pounds. They're twice as expensive, although admittedly much nicer electric sit-stand desk can hold just 155 pounds. Back to stability for a moment. Where you are going to notice this the most is when you are moving the desk up and down and while you are typing. Clearly, while the desk is in motion, you don't require the smoothest motion, but with some of these desks, especially ones with offset weight, it can go for a wild ride. Where this is going to be most annoying is while typing and during regular use. You don't want to be gaming and have your monitors flailing all over the room. And this problem is exacerbated by the higher the desk is raised and the more weight that is on top of it. Of course, they will be much more stable in a lower position. If you must go for a two-legged desk for monetary reasons, at minimum be sure to grab one that has a cross support bar. That can help with some of the stability issues, although not likely with the desk pivoting issue we talked about before. And make sure it's not somewhere that's going to bruise your shins. Also, finally, let's talk about this desk. Again, this is the 4-leg adjustable height standing desk from Uplift Desk, and so far I am fairly happy, even impressed. As it says in the name, this is a 4-leg desk with 4 independent motors. With a wide distribution of weight, that means the table is completely stable with about as little wobble as you could reasonably expect. This design required the use of 4 motors, which drives the price up, but also reduces the strain on each individual motor, making it quieter and no doubt will last longer. It is also able to help hold all the way up to 530 pounds. Weight is not going to be an issue here. I originally planned to buy my own countertop for the desk to make it slightly larger, but I don't plan things ahead very well, and decided to just go with their website's customization options rather than deal with any potential issues or delays. There are a lot of really nice options for desk materials, even some exotic woods I wouldn't have minded, but that would have been quite a bit more expensive, and I decided to go with the much cheaper but still very classy carbonized bamboo, which did come in the larger length that I was looking for. The tabletop is 80 inches by 30 inches. That wider area is going to give me enough room for up to 3 monitors, or in my configuration 2 with some breathing room at either end. I opted to get no cutouts in the top for a monitor mount pole or for cables. I wasn't positive that I would mount the monitor in the center, so I left myself the freedom to change it in the future, and ended up actually going with a clamp for now. By default, the desk comes with an up or down keypad. It'll cost you an additional $50 to get a programmable keypad that'll allow you to save multiple heights at the click of a button. Believe it or not, I actually use 3 settings fairly commonly: a super low setting, a standard sitting position, and a fully raised standing position. I also ended up picking up this beautiful matching organizer set, which honestly I was happy to get. It also comes with a foam standing pad that is fairly comfortable. It isn't a full anti-fatigue mat, which normally has raised and lowered areas, but it's a decent mat anyway. They offer some additional upsells, and like a sucker, I bought them. Actually, they were incredibly fairly priced and exactly what I needed, so I really felt like this was a win-win. I swear Uplift Desk is not sponsoring this episode. I bought their wire management kit, not realizing the desk actually came with a fairly decent assortment of wire management clips and zip ties. Many of the items in the kit were duplicates of what came with the desk, but I ended up using all of them anyway. It also came with this nice cord wrap as well. The other item I bought was this clamp-on surge protector, and this was a really good idea. The surge protector is able to clamp right to the underside rail support, and everything is powered right from there, so there is only one cable coming out to the outlet. Assembling the table was honestly easier than I expected, although it did take a while, and I would highly recommend having some help. I do have to mention, because this is sort of a review, I wasn't actually able to finish building this desk as fast as I would have liked to, because it turned out that 2 of the feet were missing. I called Uplift, and they sent out the missing feet several days later, and we were back on track. After getting the rails in place, I got to planning out the wire management. I am a huge fan of aesthetically pleasing wire management, so I tried to take my time and come up with a game plan. Using the insides of the rails to hide the wire seemed like the best strategy. The desk comes with these fantastic cable straps with 3M tape on the back and a ratcheting lock type mechanism. Unfortunately, 3M are not, like my previous experience with any adhesive-based wire management clip, they cannot handle much weight. Within a week or two, most of my cable management was a dangling rat's nest. This isn't 100% of the adhesive's fault. A lot of the areas were under a large amount of stress or carrying too much weight, but luckily they all have a hole that you can use to secure them to your desk with screws. If you have a good configuration, just lock it down and screw it in immediately. Even though fixing this was made easier by the fact that I could raise up the desk, doing it upside down just wasn't easy. A few more zip ties and screws and I was able to fix up that cable management mess. This video is already shockingly long, so I'm going to kind of glaze over the rest. If you think we should do another video on what's on top of this desk, leave a comment, maybe we'll do that. I got myself a very cheap dual monitor arm mount to clamp to the table. It's surprisingly nice for the price. It pans, it tilts, it swivels, but it also wobbles. It's barely noticeable, but I think if they added one more clamp to the back where the monitor connects to the stand, it might have been better. The computer sits on the desk, so I don't have to worry about cords long enough to reach the floor. But with my cable management, they weren't even long enough to reach the edge of the desk, leaving the tower slightly ajank. It might not matter if I had a prettier computer than this 6-year-old beast, but stay tuned for a future video. Plop on everything else that we might also talk about in a future video and the desk is complete. It's a pretty decent desk. The wobble is barely noticeable at all in real life situations, but I wanted to test out what David had tried. I'm gonna do my best to try and match his level of force. I have the table at a standing position, and here we go. So I do get a lot of wobble from my monitor stand, and honestly I do think that that's the monitor stand, not the table, but you can see that the glass is not moving nearly as much. Although if I try to shake it, yeah, I mean I can get it to move, but it's really not that bad. It's definitely not like what David's seeing with the 2 legs. If you work from home all day, the stability of your desk is really important, and it's barely something you'd consider if you were looking at a non-standing desk. And if you do work from home all day, or more importantly you want to, the first thing you'll need is an awesome domain name. Hover.com has an amazing selection of cool domain extensions like .io, .tech, and .tv, which we use for TechSquidTV. Of course, they have .com, .org, and any of your other favorites. If you're a young professional like me, get yourself a professional email. Don't apply to computer science jobs with @Gmail addresses. That's just silly. Get 10% off your own custom domain name and support the show by going to hover.com/TechSquid. And so in short, that is why this desk is worth $1,000. It's more expensive than your average standing desk, but you may find that your average standing desk might not be up to par. Thanks for watching, everyone. Check out the pictures of this desk on my Instagram. Join our conversation and come chat with us on Discord. Links to everything are in the description as always. Some of them support the show, so thank you if you use those. Stick around, I'll see you in the next video.